Well, I am here with property developer John Howard, and John has very kindly asked me to host this interview to announce the launch of his John Howard Joint Venture Fund. And John, this is very exciting progression from you. Obviously, you've got your 40 years experience as a developer with really landmark projects like the project we're sitting in, which is the Wine Rack in Ipswich. You've started your training and mentoring program, and now you're moving on to your joint venture fund. So tell us a little bit about the genesis of this, how it came about.
Well, really, Vanessa, it's a natural progression. So I've had lots of people approach me and say, John, do you do joint ventures with people? Will you put some money into this deal, that deal, and so on? Let's make it quite clear. I do not need anyone's money. So I'm not raising money from any joint venture partner. I am giving the money. To say give it, of course, sounds very generous, Vanessa, and you know I'm not that generous. So as a joint venture, so for instance, if you can only get 80% of the purchase price of the development you're doing, and you only get 80% of the build cost, I will potentially look to fund the gap for you, and on a joint venture basis, take a share of the profit, and work with you, and work together to make that development successful. So it may well be that you already got a development, you're three quarters way through it. The properties are nearly ready, but the banks say to you, look, sorry, we're not lending you anymore because there's an overrun on costs. That's fine, as long as it stacks up. We'll fund the balance and then share the profit with you. So they're the types of scenarios I expect to be offered. We can't do them all, and we don't want to do them all, but we want to work with genuine, decent, professional people who need some genuine help. If they turn up in a Ferrari and say, hi John, you've got a nicer car than me then, by the way, and say, hi John, yeah, I need you to do a joint venture with me on this, we're not going to do it. This is for genuine, decent people who are looking to get on in their careers rather than the ones perhaps already there, to a great extent anyway. And I think it will be good fun, and it's something a bit different for me, acting more like the bank manager than being on the other side of it, as I have been for many years. We've got funds available, and I think things are going to get a lot tougher, and people are going to need some help and advice and mentorship through the process.
I think that's a wonderful proposition, John, and the two key things I picked up on that, which I know you want to make very clear: you're not funding entire developments, no. You're offering a top-up if needed. And secondly, to have you on board, as a mentor and a guide, what a wonderful addition to the proposition. With your 40 years experience helping people, close out their projects, being a partner, they can learn so much from you along the way.
Well, I've been in most situations, Vanessa, and we're going to come into choppy waters, whatever anyone says. We're going to be in choppy waters, and there's ways of getting out of those choppy waters into the harbour, I would say, and there's ways of not. And it's very important that you don't sink. And I can, hopefully, with my experience, make sure that doesn't happen.
No, I think it's very good timing as well. You touched briefly on that, but I think, we are in a post-COVID world. I think at the time of recording, there is a trend that banks are starting to put up rates, etc.
They are definitely starting to. The loan-to ratio is going down. And banks are cautious, you can understand it. The confidence I have and my backers have is that we know what we're doing. A bank manager, if there are any left, is sitting in it, or a crowdfunder, or any of these peer-to-peers, they're sitting in an office somewhere. They don't know how to get out of the problem. We know how to get out of the problem because we've been in those problems ourselves and we've been successful in getting out of them. So you're not just getting some help funding-wise, but you're getting all that experience as well. And I think that is the key, really is the key.
No, I think it is, and it's a nice alternative. I mean, there are various avenues out there already, but this is kind of a new proposition combined with the top-up funding and your guidance to help push a project through to completion. So if people are interested in your JHJV fund, how do they apply? Where do they go?
Okay, all they have to do is contact me via my website, johnhowardpropertyexpert.co.uk. Go on there, email me or LinkedIn, it doesn't matter which. I'll come back to them as soon as I can.
And you'll obviously undertake very thorough due diligence.
Of course,
you'll want to
absolutely
visit
right.
the site.
Visit the site. I mean, first of all, we'll do a desktop analysis to make sure, it's something worth doing. And if it isn't worth our while doing, I can probably still give them some advice as to what to do. So all is not lost. If we don't want to do it, it doesn't mean it's dead in the water for someone else. It just means perhaps it's not really our thing, or we can do better deals elsewhere. We've only got a certain amount of money, of course, like everyone, and anyone who says they haven't are lying. That's the truth. And we have to use our money wisely in the right projects to get the best return for ourselves. It's private funds, and I'm responsible.
You finished the Wine Rack, which was your most challenging project ever. I mean, 150 flats, very challenging build, etc. Do you feel that now you're perhaps wanting to slow down a little bit, or you just love working with people and properties, don't you?
Vanessa, how rude. As if my wife's desperate not for me not to slow down. I tell you now, desperate. So no, I just think it's another string to my bow. And actually, I've really enjoyed the seminars I do. I enjoyed writing the books, and I've enjoyed meeting lots of different people. And actually, it's given me a new lease of life. But you're right. After this project, my business partner is retiring anyway, so that has something to do with it as well, probably. After 30 odd years, and it's a nice way of doing business with people who you like, because if you don't like the person, and that's the best advice I can give anyone, by the way, if you're looking to do a joint venture with two different people, and you don't like each other, please don't do a joint venture. It can only end in disaster.
And family and friends is not great
either. Can be difficult, can be challenging. So I'm the alternative to that.
I think you're a wonderfully refreshing alternative, John, because so often we hear of joint ventures where probably naive people are asked to put 100% into the deal, and then the partner is bringing their experience and their contacts, and they have no skin in the game, and it's so risky. Those aren't the kind of joint ventures you would ever be interested in. You are, you're putting your own money into it, you've got skin in their game, and you're bringing your experience to bear. So it's a completely different.
And I would also say that, of course, some of these crowdfunders and people, they are going to start getting into difficulties. It's got to happen because they've lent to a lot of people with little experience, and of course they've charged high interest rates because they've got no experience. Well, it's a catch-22. You're far better probably, rather than to pay this high interest rates, you're far better probably to work with someone like me, where you're getting less share of the profit, but actually you're going to get a profit. Because if you're paying 20% interest and everything else, the chances are you won't be. All you'll be doing is getting your shirt. Hopefully, you keep your shirt on your back.
Yeah, and they've got your experience and knowledge as well in the background.
Absolutely, I'm in the background, support and help. Visit the sites and so on. They're doing it. It's their baby. They're doing it. But I'm there to support them and advise them.
Well, that's fantastic, John. And I think it's lovely that you've got this kind of progression, because people can start by reading your books. Sure. You've got 3 books, soon to be a 4th. Then they can move on to your training days, where you've got 3 training days and a kind of starter course, introduction to buying and selling at auction, and then your advanced property investor course. Then the next stage on from that is to join your mentoring program, which is very bespoke. And John, you're very careful who you work with, that you have to feel that you're a good fit for them.
It's very important.
And then and then your final kind of level is your JV fund. So you've got people's journeys covered from right when they're starting out to right when they need that final push to get a project over the line.
Absolutely. And you know, what you got to always remember, it's the last property you sell is the profit, not the first or the last 2 or 3. And driving those forward and getting them over the line, it's very difficult. You know, we can make this happen together. And you need to make it happen. And we are the 2 joint venture partners or whatever, the only ones who are going to make it happen. The banks aren't, the solicitor isn't, the estate agent isn't. It's you who's going to do the job with some help.
I think it's a very good proposition at a very interesting time in the property sector. And John, I know, you know, having you on my side, if I was doing a deal, I would feel so much more confidence with your knowledge and your support.
When the going gets tough, the tough get going.
Indeed. So if you're interested in John's joint venture fund, then do go along to johnhowardpropertyexpert.co.uk. We'll put all the links below the video. Contact John in the first instance, tell him some details of your project, and then he'll be taking it forward with you if he thinks it's something that he can assist with. So I hope you've enjoyed this little introduction to the John Howard Joint Venture Fund. It's another tool in the property developers toolbox.
It is really, and it's, you know, and if I can help and if it's useful, that's great.
And just remind us of the catchphrase.
What was the catchphrase now we said?
Making
it happen together.
Yeah.
Making it happen together.
Yes, I like that. Okay, so do get in touch with John if you'd like to find out more.